I like to buy whole chickens and break it down myself because it is the most economical way to do it. If you, like, say you buy chicken breast or chicken tenders, the more that the chicken is butchered or any type of cut, then the more expensive it is per pound. So a whole chicken is cheaper by the pound. Now, there are different ways to break it down, and the way that I'm going to show you is what I do for making a few things. I use different pieces for making broth, and then all the meat gets deboned, and then they go into different preparations such as stir fries and things like that. So I always like to start by trimming off some of these extra pieces down here. Make sure that you've taken out the giblets and all that stuff if it has giblets. So if you look at this, there's the breast meat here. We've got the legs, the thighs are back here, and the wings. And what you can begin to see is that everywhere there's a joint is where we're going to cut. But what I like to do is start up here, and you'll see there's a little bit of a joint in here, and that cuts the chicken wing off, right? And then what you can do is sometimes I'll cut the leg quarters off first, but what I've found is that leaving them on stabilizes the carcass a little bit. But here's the kind of the breastbone here. That's where the wishbone is. So you want to cut on, just make these little gentle cuts right to the either side of the breastbone. And what that does is it's going to separate the breast meat from the carcass. Just take your time. I have a boning knife here, but which gives you a lot of flexibility. With a sharp tip, it helps you get around some of the joints. Get to the other side. Take your time. You know, back growing up in the restaurant, we would have to process a lot of chicken, whole chickens, and it became about speed. So you could do this very quickly. But here I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. So I'm doing it kind of slow. So now you see here's the carcass, and there's a joint back here, and if you just stabilize the carcass, you can see that the joint pops right out. And the oyster is in here. It's a little tiny piece of meat in there. So you can just work your knife around that. And I actually do leave a little bit of meat on the carcass because when I make my broth, I want to have not only the benefits of having the bones in the carcass, but a little bit of the meat as well to add additional flavor. So there's the carcass that's going to go into a pot for broth. And I basically, when I make the broth, I keep the wings and the main carcass, and sometimes I'll put the drumstick in there too. So if I were to do that, I would then, because there's a joint here, just cut that, and that will go in the broth as well. And that what remains is the thigh. And what I like to do is debone that. So you just use the tip of this very sharp blade and cut around that. Again, I leave a little bit of meat on the bones here, and that too will go into the broth. And then you have your chicken thigh. Okay. Now, depending on what preparation I'm doing, I'll either leave the skin or remove it. I'm going to remove it today. And, you know, the chefy chefs will tell you you can use the skin to make little crispy bits, and you certainly can do that. So, take the skin off, and then you have a chicken thigh. This can be, you can use the thigh whole, but you can also cut it up into cubes for stir fry, up to you. Now, say you wanted to use the whole quarter, the leg quarter, then you can just cut around that as well. And debone the whole thing to keep it whole. But that's, you know, that's up to you. I'm kind of not doing a very good job this morning, but and then you can just separate this bone. Oh my God. Separate this bone. Again, there's a lot of little bits of meat on here because I think that will enrich the broth. So now you have the whole leg quarter deboned, and I'm just cutting out this little bit of cartilage here. So this you could, if you were to batter fry this, that'd be like a really yummy giant piece of fried chicken. So you could do that. But again, it just depends on what your ultimate goal is for the chicken. Okay. And for the breast, this is the whole breast. Okay, this is half a breast. And if you flip it over, you can see this piece here. That's the chicken tender. And that just comes right off. So if you were to do chicken tenders, that's the piece, okay? And to cut this up, so I usually use the breast meat for a couple things. For stir fry, my family likes to eat katsu, so I do a lot of chicken katsu. And I just remove the skin. And then you have your chicken breast to then cut and prepare as you like. So what does all of this look like together? There's the breast. There's one thigh. This was the leg quarter, so that is the drumstick and the thigh. This is the thigh and the drumstick. The bones from here. Here's the carcass and the wings. And that's how I break up a whole chicken.